Okay, so I did add more questions, but
Okay, that's fine.
I'm gonna explain why I did that. Um, but yeah, all right, let's get into this. Whew. All right. Hey everybody, my name is Keisha and welcome to the Blerd Library. Today we have the amazingly talented, not hold on, let me do that one more time.
You can.
Today we have the amazingly talented Brittany N. Williams, award nominated actress, award nominated author. Welcome. I'm so excited for this interview. How are you?
Oh no, thank you for having me. I'm super excited too. I remember when you put the call out, I was like, oh, I hope she picks me. I hope I could be on the Blerd.
I'm so happy you did that because, you know, inundated with books, right? But it reminded
Yeah.
me, oh my goodness, this is the book I told myself I was going to read. And I finally read it. And I'm so happy. If I could give myself, and I've said it before, if I could give myself any book, like high school Keisha, a book, it would be this one.
Oh man, I love that.
Like, and just like taking into account everything I loved at that time, this would have been amazing. I think this book would have put me into Black science, like fiction and fantasy earlier.
hmm
Wonderful. Like,
Listen, but for real, I wrote this book for my 16-year-old self too. Like, so clearly we would have been friends. First
yo,
off.
because I was like, listen, because I did the audiobook. Like, as you can see,
Mhm.
that's I did the audiobook, bought the physical, and I was like, okay, I don't think I've ever known another Black person who loved Shakespeare or would have like been able to have those kind of conversations. Like, yo,
Mhm.
this is great.
Yeah. So that's so one thing, like we out here, like we are definitely out here, particularly Black women. Like we Black women, like early modern scholars, Shakespearean scholars, like are out here deep. And I wanted to show that this isn't like if you are this person, if you are this like particularly a Black girl who loves Shakespeare, you are not alone. We are there's a multitude of us. Like we are out here, like out here. So
All right, so real quick, I know you have it on your website, but just for everyone to know, what is your favorite Shakespearean play?
my favorite is Richard III. Everybody expects me to say A Midsummer Night's Dream, but no, it is Richard III.
Hi.
So it's just so it's one of the plays where you are like we follow the villain of it,
Mm,
and it's just you can't help but like you're not gonna root for Richard, but you can't help but like him. And like how honest he is about the evil stuff that he's gonna do. And anybody who can pull a woman over the bleeding dead body of her father-in-law that you killed, like that's skills, man. That's skills. He literally pulls this lady over the course of a scene. As soon as he shows up, they're like carrying the body under a shroud and it starts bleeding freshly because he shows up. Like that's how much hateration is in this dead body for Richard. And still, by the end, he got Lady Anne being like, okay, I'll wear your ring or whatever. Like that's wild. That is wild.
no, no, okay, I agree because Shakespeare can write an amazing villain,
Yes.
like an
hmm
amazing villain. Okay, I get that. Yes.
Yeah. It's good. It's yeah.
All right. So I already sent you my interview questions, but I wanted to add a few more about Shakespeare because, like I said, I never really had the opportunity to talk about Shakespeare and like all the questions that I had with another Black person, and I wish I could have been able to do this when I was younger. So like this is filling my heart with a lot of joy right now. I'm just letting you know, like younger Keisha is very excited right
Oh,
now.
love it. No, I am happy to be here. I am happy to be this for you. I'm happy to do this. Anytime, literally anytime, you can jump in my DMs with Shakespeare stuff and I am ready to talk.
Yes. Okay. So I guess I want to go back. You had an interview with the Library of Congress, right? And there was a similar a why am I tongue tied? You compared Shakespeare to Tyler Perry, and
Yes.
that's off. I was like, oh my goodness, you're right. And I was like, okay, how come we don't teach people Shakespeare like that? Like,
Yeah.
because he was so approachable. And
Mm-hmm.
so I guess my question is, if you could teach Shakespeare, if you could get someone into Shakespeare, how would you go about it? Because
Right.
obviously, the way we're doing it now in schools is just a hot
Yeah.
mess.
And we can, like, as with so many other terrible things in our society, we can thank the Victorians for that. They're the ones who decided Shakespeare needed to be this like elevated elitist thing, and only for like the high hoity-toity high class folks, and then that led to like Shakespeare being used as a poll test to keep black people from voting and all kinds of stuff like that. So the kind of the disconnect particularly black Americans feel from Shakespeare is coming from a very real place, that you doesn't necessarily connect to Shakespeare himself. If I was teaching it now, I would, first off, I wouldn't teach it like, we wouldn't sit and like read it silently in class. um we would watch it. We would watch some kind of like performance, and there's so many recorded performances now between like the old 70s like RSC BBC performances. I got into Shakespeare off of Shakespeare the Animated Tales, which was just like these little 24-minute animated versions of Shakespeare that the BBC put out. You can watch productions by the Globe, the National Theater. There are just so many different ways to like see it. So that's the way I would try to like get students into Shakespeare. We would take our time, break it down, just like focus on the fun parts and the enjoyable parts instead of focusing on the bits that may be a bit harder to decipher, because these plays are like pushing, like they're over 400 years old, so there are going to be things that we struggle with a little bit. But there's so much excitement in it. There's so much like drama and gore and like, you know, love triangles, love quadrangles, all
Yes.
kinds of, yeah, mess, just like high level mess. Like cheating, not cheating. You got like, yeah, and it's just, it's, there's so much good stuff that's what I would focus on. And you know, Shakespeare didn't even, he never wrote his plays to be read. They didn't get published until after he had died. He died in 1616, and they published the first folio collection in 1623. So he wasn't even a part of like that. There's a couple that he published on the side to make some little extra money, but mostly his plays were meant to be heard. And in the time period, you didn't go see a play, you went to hear a play. So just kind of thinking about that and like the letting students experience it instead of it being this like intellectual thing. I think that's the best way to go. And that's how I got into it as a tiny tyke.
Yes, yes. I absolutely love that. And you're right. Like there is this one she's from Orange is the New Black, Danielle.
Danielle Brooks.
Yes.
Yeah.
One that I have to watch soon.
Me too. No, I
Because
need to. I need to.
it looks so good. When I figure out which play that was, I'm gonna
Um,
put
no, it's Much Ado About Nothing. Because she
yes.
plays Beatrice.
Yes.
Um, and I will tell, there's nothing I love more than Black people doing Shakespeare, because there is like a natural rhythm and musicality that we bring to the language that's just so, it just fits and it makes it work. It makes it more understandable, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, there's that whole discussion, you know, happening in Shakespearean scholarship, but now popping up on TikTok about how good Shakespeare sounds in like a Southern accent, because
Yes.
a Southern accent is actually pretty close to what we think was like original pronunciation. So it's just so many like, just see some Black people do it. Go see some Black people do it. It's perfect. That's it.
Yes. I know there was like a version of Hamlet that's like off Broadway or Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
Myself for not seeing it in time, but
They about to do there's the Denzel and Jake Gyllenhaal Othello about to go up in New York, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to see it, but I would if I could be a fly on the wall.
Oh yes. Yeah. Oh man. Oh man. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh
We in
yeah.
it. We in it. We in it.
No, I cannot wait. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna jump all over the place, and I apologize so much for
No,
doing
you
this.
good. You good.
All right. So to shift back into your trilogy, I guess what was your canon event that made you say, "Hey, I am going to write a book now"?
Oh man. It was man, what was it? It was a slow process. It was a long process because I have, I've loved stories and books since I was a little kid, but I had to, bust through some limiting beliefs put on me by some terrible English teachers throughout my like school career. So I didn't really take myself seriously as a writer until I started writing articles and reviews for Black Nerd Problems. And that is like that collection of writers are some of the most incredible prose writers I have ever met in my life. And kind of having them cheering me on, loving my work, that boosted my confidence. And then I guess the canon event was meeting my husband Daniel, because he's this incredibly prolific writer, and he's also my biggest cheerleader. So having literally someone in my house who's like, you got this, you can do it, like, you got this. He's the only one who read my first draft, and he gave me some really great notes, and so that gave me the final push to kind of get this done and get these books out there. And it was scary. It's still scary, man. It's still like terrifying putting work out in the world, but just having a community of folks who were cheering me on and honest about my work when it needed some polish, and very effusive with their praise, really helped me to be in a place where I could finally like stand up, like, girl, stand up. I stood up and get these books out there.
Oh, that yeah, shout out to having supportive partners. That like it does make a big difference.
Mm-hmm. No, it
That
absolutely does.
so when you were writing this book, like we said, it's done in the time of Shakespeare. You managed to like do this really cool thing where we're combining, what we know about Shakespeare's time, you know, doing it through the lens of Black people, Black queer people, and Orisha mythology. So like I guess I want to say, like, how important was it to depict Black people during Shakespeare's time?
That was the most important part for me, like showing Black people, showing queer people in that time period, because we are so often erased from history. Um, and especially like in my experience as a Black Shakespearean actress, I have gotten a lot of pushback about like how whether or not I have a place in the like Shakespearean canon. And I even had somebody tell me that like Shakespeare would have never met anybody of West African descent, only North African descent. I know. I was like, that sounds fake, but okay. So like this series was to like it was a it was refuting that misbelief. Um and just as a like, I love when we can make people more curious about Black history through pop culture. um I really love what happened, like I love what happened after Watchmen dropped, and suddenly everybody became more curious about the Tulsa riots and everything, the Tulsa massacre. And so I thought this was a perfect opportunity to, similarly make people aware and curious of the existence of non-white people, of queer people within Shakespeare's time period, and to kick that lie that it was all white, all like lily white all the time, or at any point in history in England or in London, to just kick that lie in the teeth.
No, you're absolutely right. Because like I just thinking back of any time I was taught about Shakespeare or anything during that time period, we weren't really taught, like nobody ever brings up, oh well, he was around all of these people. I don't think it wasn't even until college where I was taught like Shakespeare was a traveled person, and that there are things that happen, especially with the Merchant of Venice, where he could have met, all of these different people of different backgrounds.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Yes.
London's always been this like metropolitan city. There have been Black people in England since, the time of the Roman Empire. We have literal evidence of Black Roman soldiers requesting socks because their feet were getting too cold in England. Like there is like the people were there. So you don't hear about it. And the same thing, like the thing with tracing queer history specifically is that when you get to the period before people really had labels for things like we do now, it's very easy for certain historians to brush off, to like kind of shove queerness under the rug. You get it all the time where they're like, oh, these two like lifelong bachelors lived together and slept in one bed. They were great roommates and friends. So like so you get, you have to really like dig and fight against stuff like that. And everybody's not going to be out here doing the deep research. Everybody's not going to be out here reading academic papers or nonfiction books. So I really think, historical fiction is a wonderful way to reveal the truth to readers who may not find it otherwise. And historical fantasy especially gives you like this little extra, you can like slide it in like a Trojan horse. Like they don't even know they learning yet because it's all magic. So like the magic stuff is made up, but the Black people being here, the people being like gay, that's real. That's legit.
Right.
It was gay people here. Some people was gay.
Right. Always there. Okay, hold on. Let me take a breather.
No, you good.
All right. So which question do I want to go with? All right. Continuing with Black people and their experiences during this time. What I loved, like outside of just the fact that like cackled throughout the book, especially like there was several parts where I was like, this is very Shakespearean in the humor and just like how things are done.
Mm-hmm.
But you also take the time to like really depict how how Black people are experiencing racism and prejudices throughout the book. Like that scene with Joan and Queen, and she's supposed to be I was infuriated.
Yeah. That is I feel like that is an experience that all Black women have been through, where you are in a situation where, but if not for the power differential, you would be busting people in the mouth and they would deserve it. And that it's like partially inspired by a real moment I experienced in my life. I was a new teacher at a school and we were doing professional development day, and some woman just came and full on grabbed my fro and was like, oh my gosh, your hair is so nice. It's like my goddaughter's. She's mixed. And I was like, I just had a like, yeah, it's that moment where you like your brain shorts out and you're like, what am I about to do about this? So I wanted to include that. I also wanted to kind of show how this is the time period where racialization is really starting to take hold. So, it isn't what it would become over the next like several decades and like the next century or whatever, but you can see it starting to work its way there. And it was also inspired by the fact that Queen Anne and her ladies, they did a court performance called The Mask of Blackness, written by Ben Jonson, where all of the ladies wore blackface and they were the daughters of Neptune. And their goal was to find a way to wash the blackness off of their skin so that they could become beautiful. So I'm like, what was somebody who was in a play like that and was like, oh my gosh, this is so funny, y'all. Oh, this is great. What would they do if they met a real black person? And yeah, so
No,
that's
because
weird.
that scene felt like.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and like along with Queen Anne, who is big racist in the book, I wanted to show that sometimes it's the people who we love and trust and expect more of who also come at us with some bullshit with like Augustine Phillips and his little microaggressions that she had to, yeah, and it's like, what do you like?
What do you do in that situation? Like,
Yeah, it's not all, I didn't want to have it be where only the the racism only came from the bad people. So it'd be like, oh yeah, I'm not like that. It's like, well, maybe you're like this. Maybe you're friendly otherwise, you're helpful, you're wonderful, and then you say
like,
some messed up stuff.
wow, that it's terrible, but like, unfortunately, that is our reality, and that's something that you know I would hope people who are not black like take
Mm-hmm.
to that and like recognize that there's a spectrum of it.
Yep. There is.
um all right, so I know you went to Howard, like
Mm-hmm.
shout out HBCU, I'm from Lincoln.
All right.
um and you got your bachelor's in musical theater, which phenomenal. I was how did your HBCU experience influence your writing journey or just like writing this trilogy altogether?
Yeah. So I went to my high school was in a majority white all girls Catholic school. And like looking back, it's really interesting how much of your like self awareness and understanding of self develops in those like 4 years of high school. So I spent a lot of time feeling like an anomaly as a black person because of like what I liked, um, the way I did in school, all these other things. And then I got to Howard and I was like, oh no, never mind. I'm normal. It's fine. We just, yeah, I'm normal. I'm not weird. So I think that like that has colored everything that I do since then. And it was really nice to have that like recalibration. Because I grew up in a majority black neighborhood, went to all black elementary school where there were like two white kids in the whole school. Same thing at my middle school, majority black, only a couple like white kids in the school. um as a kid, I thought that only black people lived in Baltimore, and all the white people lived in the county. Like that's how like insulated of a life I lived. And so it was kind of wild how much damage that 4 years being a visible minority in the school did. And I'm really glad that I had my Howard experience to kind of reset that clock and be like, no, girl, you good. You aren't weird. You aren't like a special snowflake black person because you like anime. Like there was literally an anime club. We all sitting in here wanting to do Shakespeare in our acting class. Like this isn't, you're not like, you're good. This is absolutely normal. You don't have to feel a way about this. So it yeah, that really it it kept me grounded and it keeps me grounded still. So yeah, that it was nice to have that confirmation and affirmation amongst my people at Howard.
That is amazing. Like, um, so I went to predominantly black schools, like my entire education, which very, very fortunate for that. But at home, I have a 14-year-old, and the reset that you're talking about, we actually had to do that with my kid, and
Mm.
we live in predominantly rural white neighborhood right now,
Yeah.
and it's really, oh, it's something.
Yeah. No, it's tough. It's tough.
And it wasn't until like we went to family out in New York, in Jersey, and my kid was like, "Oh, it's not me."
Yes.
That reset is so real, and I
Hmm.
for like every black kid, every black adult on this, like we need that to just
Hmm.
like reminder, like it's not
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. And it's that feeling of like, man, I must be the only black person who's like, who likes this thing. So I'm just going to have to like live the rest of my life only talking about this thing with non-black people and then finding like black stuff to talk about black people with. And it's like, no, you just got to find your black people. We are like, they out here.
Out here.
So yes, the internet has made it so much easier.
Yes.
It's just, it's, we can find each other. We can find each other better and stuff. And,
Yep.
but, it's
One.
still like it can feel very lonely. um and yeah, that being um you I guess we don't really talk about the beauty of feeling like one of many,
Mhm.
instead of just knowing that you are like not you're not special, like you are not special, you're normal, you're regular, like that. That can feel really good sometimes too.
No, I
So
definitely agree. um. Okay, so getting into first, I'm going to show the. You know what? Let me pull this up. Let me act like I have all of these things. I can't tell you how many interviews I've done, and I have the pictures and the overlays like here, and I don't click on anything.
listen.
So let me just. This is a cover to that same self medal. Beautiful,
I
like
know.
I
I love it.
found it, and it continues. I don't know if it does it in the hardback, but like you can see the edges here.
Hmm. It's the same.
Oh, dope! And then
So
like beginning of the chapters, it's beautiful. So like I just wanted to go in like to the design of it and how you like yeah, just talk about the design.
yeah, so I can't even take credit for that. All I can take credit for is the picking the cover artist. I recommended Fernanda Suarez to do the cover because I've been a fan of her work for years. I've followed her on Instagram for a long time. And I really love the way that she draws and colors Black people and Black hair. That was like a big requirement for me. Like, you have to be able to draw Black people and Black hair. You have to be able to color Black people, like brown skin and everything. Um, and I had the benefit of, one of the benefits of being published by Abrams Books is that they started as an art book company. So when they think about designing a book, they think about it as like a piece of art. So, they came up with all of the like sword motifs. They came up with all of the like the details along the edges. They found the map designer, Jamie, who is really incredible. Like, her detail work is out of this world.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
No,
like,
no.
and I don't even, I'm like, all of these tiny fine lines. Like, she has done an incredible job with this one, with the next map, like everything. And the few notes that I gave, I remember when I got the first sketches, I asked that Joan be looking directly at the reader, like making eye contact with the reader. And then I asked that they put some designs on her sleeves and put some kink in her hair. That was all. But other than that, they nailed it. They got it.
They definitely
Um,
because
yeah.
like when you brought up the hair, I was like, yo, you can just see like the texture that's
Hmm.
hair. Like because usually when they do draw it, it's very like 2D, it's very flat.
Yeah, it was when and the first like rendering of it, her hair was like slick. She had a slick back, and I was like, "That's cute and all," but they didn't have gel, so. And also, I wanted it to have some texture. Yeah, Fernanda eyebrows on fleek, edges laid, like that was all her. Um, and then for books 2 and 3, I sent like more specific hairstyles that I wanted them to give Joan. Yes, so like I sent a specific like the hairstyle, she got it. I don't think I had any notes for this one. Like I was like, yes, y'all got it in one bet.
Period. Yes.
So
And then this
yeah.
is
Yes, this hairstyle is my absolute favorite of Joan's hairstyles. Oh my gosh. Yes, so yeah, I have been blessed by the cover gods with like incredible book covers and stuff. And you know, my editor Maggie, she has a really great eye for you know, what uh what would make a beautiful cover, and kind of sending the cover designer and the artist off in the right direction. um uh oh god, I can't remember Chelsea's last name, but a woman, Chelsea from Abrams, designed that self same Metals cover, and then Micah Fleming designed the covers for Saint Seducing Gold and Iron Tongue of Midnight. So
that's
it's
dope.
just yeah.
Yeah, no. Shout out to Abrams because they do phenomenal work on their covers. They're very
Mm-hmm.
intentional. Like, yeah, very intentional with their work. So
Mm-hmm.
shout out to them.
Yeah, no, it's just yeah, that's been one of the and like it's like tiny details. So like in like the chapter breaks, there's a little sword in there. Book 2 has a like the sword on the spine. Yeah, everything, all the colors come together really well. It's just yeah. I was like, oh, y'all got it. Y'all got it. Y'all got it.
All right, so this is my spoiler question, and I'm gonna say that so people can like fast forward if they don't want to hear this part. Okay, so the one thing that did throw me was Shakespeare's connection to Orisha gods, and I guess I wanted to know why you did that. Like,
I did it because as I was writing, I really like the like mentor role Shakespeare was starting to take. And I was like, I'm gonna make people mad if I do this, so let's go. And I also wanted to kind of like slightly have this conversation about, you know, what they ask him, like, wait, you're black, so how did you write something as messed up about black people as Othello? I don't think he actually answers them because he does not have a good answer. But I just thought that would be really interesting. I like Shakespeare. I like thinking about Shakespeare, the person, and what he would have been like. So it felt right to me to make him, you know, be mixed race, be this like, you know, person who had, because of tragedy in his own life, kind of forsaken his practices with the Orisha. And then, you know, in this moment where Joan really needs that reassurance, he's able to offer that to her. And so often we get like Shakespeare the cheater, Shakespeare the jerk. And I was like, what if he's like just a really like, what if he's a messy adult, but when it comes to dealing with like teenagers and children, he's really responsible and like can at least appear to have his shit together. So it made sense to me. And I haven't I don't know. I don't read reviews because they hurt my feelings sometimes. But it's fine. I know I'm sensitive. So I'm like, let me stay out of these reviews. I haven't gotten any angry emails yet. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe people haven't noticed. Maybe people forget. Maybe everybody's cool with it. I don't know. But I just thought it was fun. I'm like, yeah, Shakespeare Black.
no, because I was like, okay, young Keisha would have definitely like been like, yes, like whoever can be black will be black, and
Yes.
like, like young Keisha would have definitely they like taking that. It's like, yeah, cool. This
Yeah,
is
and then I'm like, now that diminishes the number of like white main character, like white people with prominent roles in the book, because now it's just what it is Burbage and Phillips,
yeah,
because the Fae aren't white.
very
So
right.
oh, and of course the King and the Queen, and oh god, Robert Cecil. Ugh, that man.
Yeah, yeah. um, what else do we have? Okay, okay. So Joan, you have this amazing main character, Joan. She's really smart. She is an amazing swordsman. I I don't know why I'm tongue tied, but she is like an amazing young woman. And I guess I wanted to know like what was your inspiration behind her and her creation?
Yeah, so I gave Joan my interest. So I've always been like super into stage combat and sword fighting. So I was like, yeah, she's gonna be a master swordswoman. Um and I was inspired by Joan of Arc, of course. That's why she's named Joan, and that's why their birthday is January 6th, which is Joan of Arc's birthday, and also 12th night. Um and they are identical fraternal twins, like in 12th Night. Um, and I gave her the questions that I was struggling with at 16. Um, but I made her like a better, cooler version than I was. So I wanted to make her like I wanted to make her a little aspirational, but also allow her to make decisions with that teenager brain that's not fully developed yet. And so there's like she is very smart, and she fights very well, but sometimes she makes decisions, and as an adult reader you're like, girl, what are you doing? Like, why did you do that? um
But
and
that's
then
everything.
and then you think back to like your teenager and you're like, oh, never mind, that tracks.
Yeah.
That definitely tracks. And yeah, and like as I also it was also a matter of like as I wrote more and more, some of the characteristics of Ogun kind of came through her as well, in the way that if you interact with someone or with folks who are who practice Orisha veneration, you can kind of see aspects of the Orisha come through them in like interesting ways. Um, so yeah, she has some vibes of Joan of Arc, some vibes of some Ogun vibes, um, some like young teenage Brittany vibes. Um, yeah, and she's when I sit down to write her, she speaks very loudly, which is very handy as a writer. And I thought about all the like cool girl characters that I read when I was growing up. So like Ella from Ella Enchanted,
Yes.
um, the princess from the Enchanted Forest Chronicles. Um, yeah, it just made sense. It just tracked. I was like, she's just gonna be a badass. She's just gonna be like I'm like, some stuff is gonna be very easy for her, and other stuff is gonna be super duper difficult. So yeah,
Yes.
sword stuff, she is on it.
Yes.
Um,
Much.
diplomacy, talking her way out of stuff, not so much. So
You definitely see that.
dressing, she can't do it. She don't know. She don't
Oh,
know.
oh, oh man! If it wasn't for her brother,
Listen, and she knows. She knows.
yes. All right. Um. All right. So, Saint Seducing Gold actually came out earlier this year, and it continues Jones' like balancing act of trying to save the world from human enemies and fae enemies. So, like, what was it like diving into it this second time around?
So it was One, it was a little scary because it was my first time writing a book on a deadline.
Mm,
Um, I wrote all of that self-same metal before I sold it. And then for the next two books, all I had were summaries.
okay.
Um, so it was a little intimidating trying to sit down and write like my second novel ever, and a sequel at that. Um, it was also weird because as I was writing the book, I was starting to promote that self same metal. And then as I was editing it, I was literally on tour for that self same metal. So it was just trying to exist with my head in these two separate places and not inadvertently give people spoilers for like book one as I'm working on book two. Um, I'm very grateful that I had the summary to work off of because that meant that when I sat down to write, I had this like blueprint to go from. And I knew that what I wanted to do for Joan is I wanted to put her in a situation where everything she learned in book one is suddenly useless to her in these situations in book two. So it was like, well, you go from, being somewhere where it is all about you, like you need to like this is time to fight. You need to get your sword up, get your confidence up, and you need to battle. To being at the royal court where it's like, no, girl, you cannot punch them in the face. You cannot draw your sword on one of the queen's ladies because she says something out of pocket to you. Like you need to figure out, you need to finesse your way through this. And that is not her wheelhouse. So yeah, I gave her I thought that would be really interesting for readers and really dynamic in a second book to give them a situation where it's like, oof, yep, you using what you learned. Like, yes, like you got it. Good job, boo, but this is not the time nor the place. Um and I really, I think about middle parts in the trilogy whenever I think about what that should feel like, or to me, what it should feel like. It should always feel like The Empire Strikes Back, or it should feel like The Last Jedi, where
Mhm.
it's just it's like, oh, you going through it, but I guess we gonna make it.
Well,
Maybe. Good luck. It's like, baby, good luck.
no, I agree. The second book should definitely like put the character through everything.
Yeah. Listen, it's like Joan leveled up and so did everybody else.
Mm, I like that.
So it's like, what does that mean? What is that setting you up for? Yeah, because she be oof, she be fighting for her life in book two.
I like
Oh man.
that. Okay, so one of the things that I truly loved is the relationship you see between Joan and her family. Like they are so tight knit. Like it's very much this kid, like you can just see how much she loves her family whenever she's going through things. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna hide it from them, or it's like, no, I'm gonna tell my parents after I do this. Like
Right.
oh, we're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna explain it and what happened. There's like open communication.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. So I guess I wanted to ask you like what how important it was, or just go into detail about why that was so necessary to that type of relationship to put into the book.
Yeah. So I kind of, I it's so rare to see involved parents in young people's literature for a reason. Like
Yeah.
when you have active involved parents, it is much harder to get kids and teens doing reckless, you know, death defying things. Um, but I wanted to have like a very healthy birth family relationship and a healthy found family relationship all existing within the same like world, the same book. um and I just really wanted Joan's parents to be, just as smart as her, to be involved. I wanted you to be able to like look at them and understand like how their kids ended up the way they ended up. It's like, okay, I see how these parents raise these children. Um, and I just thought it would be, in the book, it's just as frustrating to have these, this teenage girl who is ready to openly talk to her parents about her issues and troubles and problems. Had them straight up be like, we don't know what's going on. We will try to find out for you, but we don't know. Or to have like something else come in and interrupt that moment, and like something come in and like break that communication. So it's not that they don't want to hear her, and it's not that she doesn't want to be heard. It's just some third thing is just popping in.
Mm.
It's why the entire first book takes place over 7 days, because it's like, we don't have time. Okay, you want to talk to? It's not okay. I tried. All right. Well, we gonna like everything happens so fast that it doesn't leave a lot of room for just like hiding stuff and intentional miscommunication. Also, Joan's relationship to her twin brother James is like the most important to me in that first book. James is inspired by like my little brother, and also by like some other like brother like friends who I had growing up. So I like every time I tried to like shift off in another direction, they pulled me back, and I just really wanted to show that like the very lovely sibling bond. And there's something about like Black families, like we operate in a very specific way. And I wanted my Black readers to be able to see like reflections of their relationships. And it may not, like for them, it may not be like their biological mom, it may be like their grandma or their grandparents, it may be an auntie, it may be like somebody else, it may be just like an older friend who's in that parental position for them. But I feel like most of us can see like either true reflections of adults in our lives in Bess and Thomas Sands, or you can see like the parents that you hoped for in them.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I just wanted to have like alive parents. I just like I
Yeah.
know, like my mom died when I was a baby, so I was like, I want to see what it's like to have like grown parents. And then funnily enough, like I sold these books and then I got pregnant. So by the time they were coming out, I was a parent. I was somebody's mama. So I was like, there you go. Yep.
And it is interesting.
Yep. It is not for the faint of heart. Like I cannot imagine being in like their position where my children show up and they're like, hey, we just pissed off a like powerful fae and they want to kill me. And it's like,
Yo, it
okay.
right? Like, what do you do at that point?
Right. The FBI showing up, the Secretary of State showing up in my house, busting up I'm like, okay. All right.
We're going into hiding. We're not doing this.
We doing something. So.
But no, that's beautiful, and I'm happy that you did do that, because like you said, you don't see a lot of parents, and you don't see involved parents. I was gonna say, what you said about your brother was just so amazing. And if you said that James is based off of him, your brother must be amazing, because
my brother is so like effortlessly cool. Like I don't I feel so corny around him, but he's like effortlessly cool. He's so chill, so level-headed, like calm in a crisis. And he's like way younger than me. He's like 8 years younger than me. So he's like my baby brother for real. But yeah, when I think about, that's what inspired that kind of like James is cool in messed up situations. He always has a joke. He's like, and he's also ride or die. Like he's not the best fighter, but he gonna do something. He will be there. He will bear witness. So yeah, and he's good at what he's good at.
Very true. Very true. All right. So, without giving any spoilers for book three, this is coming out next April.
Yes.
Um, what can we look forward to?
Oh man. Well, you can look forward to more black people. A lot more black people. You can you can look forward to a change of scenery.
Oh,
Um even stronger Faye. Because this is it. We in the end game now. Let's see. More romance with our core trio,
yeah.
um, Joan, Nick, and Rose. Um, yeah. Let's see. What I'm acting like I didn't just like. I literally was working on this over the weekend. Like I like I know exactly this book. I'm trying to do it without spoilers for books 2 or 1. Yeah, it's just like everything has to escalate for book 3. Joan's powers escalate again. She learns how to do some new flashy trick in book 2, so of course she has to learn a new flashy trick for book 3.
Bia is with
um
still. Is that
hmm?
Bia still with her?
Yeah, oh, that, yes, that sword is extremely important. Yeah, and they are
Loved how
they are
to
stuck together. That sword found her for a reason, so she's gonna keep hold of it
yo
as best she can.
yes. Like Bia was so cool. Like obviously didn't talk or anything, but just like the attitude that came off.
Yeah. That sword has a lot of attitude. And I just love this. Like, of course, like some she can communicate with metal, so she gets all of these like vibes off of swords usually, but then there's this one that's different. Um, and it just like they go so well together, they fight so well together. Um, her just wearing it like a bracelet all the time, so it's always with her.
Mhm.
Is just such a like a cool thing to me. Um, yeah, it's she still has her sword, and she's up in her fighting skills and stuff, but as with book 2, as Joan gets stronger, so do the Fae. um and also like this is the big bad that we meet in book 1. This is the final showdown.
Nice.
So
This is
yeah.
um all right, so I only have two more questions. And these are questions that I always end with. Um you said you're working on it right now, and I know a lot of authors have strict rules sometimes about what they do when they're editing or all of that. So I wanted to ask, what are you currently reading or watching or listening to?
Hmm. So I am currently I'm watching Dimension 20. This is so dirty. Dimension 20 just dropped the first episode of their like live shows in the UK, and the second one is going to drop tomorrow. So I'm watching those, and then the new season of Misfits and Magic that starts next week, I want to say. Yeah, so that's when I'm watching hardcore. Um I'm also watching My Happy Marriage, the anime. I'm reading a ton of like the isekai uh uh manhwa, like web comics.
Uh-huh.
So that is my little like niche genre right now. Like somebody who gets sucked into a story that they were reading.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, all the way in, fully sold. Um, oh man, what else am I reading? I I'm kind of like off and on slowly rereading through Craft in the Real World as a to kind of like get myself in the headspace to start writing the next thing, because once Iron Tongue of Midnight is out of my hands, then it's like, girl, what you doing next? Like, you putting something else out. When is the album, Rihanna? Like, I don't want people to be like, when is the next album? So yeah, getting to work on that. Uh and man, listening to um I just somebody made Peebo Bryson made a playlist of all his like greatest hits. So I just downloaded that onto my Spotify, and I'm about to like I'm listening to that the other morning I put on the the best of Frankie Beverly and Maze for
Yes.
breakfast to listen through that. Yeah, and I like all I've been listening to is my like I have a playlist called Girl Finish Your Damn Book. And so every time I go back into like edits or something, I put that playlist on. So I just got to like put it away on, Monday. So I gotta dig into some other stuff now and listen to some other music. Yeah.
Oh, you focus music.
Yes. It literally is called Girl Finish Your Damn Book. Like
When you brought up Dimension 20, I was like, I've heard of that before. And then that's Brennan Lee Mulligan. And
hmm
yo, I've been wanting to watch that for the longest. I've only watched one season, or rather one or two episodes of it. And
Okay.
he did the campaign with drag queens.
Oh yeah. Dungeons and Drag Queens.
Yes, that one was so good.
That's good. My first one, I jumped in on the first season of Misfits and Magic. And that was one where Brennan was a player and Abria Iyengar, she DM'd. And it was just a small like 4-person Harry Potter send up. So basically all of the like messed up parts of Harry Potter, they were able to like call it out because it was 5 people who have racial, class, gender analysis. And so they were like, oh, that's messed up. Like, and it was really good. I really loved it. Um I really enjoy their Fantasy High series. They have this great like fantastical like magical world that's hidden beneath mundane New York campaign called The Unsleeping City. They have like Candyland meets Game of Thrones with A Crown of Candy. It gets rough. That one's gonna have you crying. That one is really good. So they have like there's so much stuff. There's so much. It's really I am a full on Dimension 20 fan, like full on. And then I have I'm in a D&D campaign that I've been playing for the past like 3 going on 4 years. So we play like every other week. So
That is dope. You play in person or virtual?
we play virtual, but it's a table of all black people. So the jokes be flying.
I love to do that. My
It's
first like D&D campaign, it was a very it was a very diverse group, and it was you actually brought up the name the manhwa that you're reading. It was something
Mhm.
like that, so it was like a story within a story.
Yeah.
It was the snot out of me. Being my first time like in a camp,
Yeah.
had a great time with like, you know, just creating the character and going through some confused the whole way. And I was like,
No, it's hard. It's like Dungeons and Dragons is the hardest of all like tabletop systems to learn. Um there are a lot of other like indie systems that are way easier for a beginner to pick up, but like Dungeons and Dragons is like the name that everybody recognizes. And there's so many rules, there's so much math, like
yeah.
so
Oh,
many dice.
and
Yeah.
but it's a good time when you have
Mhm.
a group of people. I would love to do D&D with like a group of black people.
It hits different. It hits different. So and like all of us have these like little like black cultural things within our characters that are hilarious, and
Yeah.
we all bring our different experiences together. Of course, all of our characters are like black or black coded. Um it's a good time. It's a good time.
Nice. All right. You got me excited. Now I'm about to like see if I can get Dimension 20 and watch a few. Watch a
Just
few.
watch, Yeah, there it's good. It's good to you can they also do audio only, so if you want to just like listen, that can be fun too. But yeah, the I particularly like Misfits and Magic because it's a black DM and two black players.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a black DM, two black players, an Asian player, and then Brennan is the only white person involved. So I was like, oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
Vernon is definitely like let's topple the system. Like
Mhm. Yeah. The big bad is always capitalism. So
love it. All right, final question. Um, so it's a question I always ask because I'm a firm believer that rest is important, especially within the Black community, because we're taught to give and give in order to be the best of the best. So I guess what is your definition of rest,
mm.
and do you practice it?
So I am working on it because I at the end of last year I found myself in with the most like severe case of burnout that I've ever experienced, and also on a very tight deadline for the first draft of book 3. And I just never want to find myself there again. Um it's wild that black people they've been calling us lazy ever since we stopped working for free. um and so it's really hard. I'm also like um I'm a busybody kind of type A person, so I always want to do like everything, and everything interests me. I want to do everything under the sun. So I'm trying to step away from that. I do not I've stopped working weekends. um and I cut myself off from work at least an hour before I have to go pick up my kid from daycare, um, to kind of give that space there. And I have a note on my wall actually, and I somebody on TikTok, I can't refine the video, but she said the real way to heal from burnout is rest. You need to rest. You need to restructure your life so that the things that burned you out in the first place don't just kind of capture you again. And then you need to tap into your creativity and tap into your community. So those are all things that I've been like trying to do as I've been recovering from burnout. And it's hard because I'm part of that, gifted and talented to burnt out black girl pipeline. Um,
Oh,
and nobody ever told me to sit. Like, all I needed all my life, my young life, was for somebody to be like, girl, sit down somewhere. You're doing too much. But in a very like gentle way, like you don't have to do all this. You can chill. Um, so I'm still trying to do that. And I think um parenting has also helped to slow me down some, because I am not at my best when I'm exhausted and tired and like trying to squeeze out the last drop of myself to give to my child. That's not good for him and it's not good for me. So one thing I've been trying to do is I've been trying to um, focus on myself, how I'm feeling, hold my boundaries very strongly, even if he doesn't like it. Um, and just like um also prioritize myself and then prioritize him over these corporations that don't care about me, because they're companies and they don't have that capacity. So it's hard. Rest is very hard. um Also, I have Trisha Hershey's book Rest is Resistance. I am working my way through that. It is hard because I feel like it's overwhelming sometimes to have to give your or to see someone giving you permission to rest, particularly as a black woman and as a like a black parent, as a black mom, I will say, because the expectations for moms are very different. Or like if you're even if you're not like even if you don't identify as mom, if society sees you as the mom or the like in that
The
role, the expectations they have for you are very different than they have for the person who's perceived as the dad. So,
you are saying everything.
listen, it's yeah. So,
It's
and we also have a lot of, we have a lot of generational trauma around like motherhood and the state of our children. There's a whole thing like you don't want to send your kids out into the world looking a certain way, because that was the real reason that people would take Black children away and from their parents, because you sent your child out in like a dirty shirt one time, and kids love being dirty. So right, so you
and I
fighting that, you like, okay,
goodness, my son,
and this like this DNA level panic that you have because our society is racist and white supremacist and patriarchal, and they just don't care about us and our kids.
they don't.
So,
My goodness, my son came home earlier this week. Like just speaking about like the full panic you have about like
mhm.
how kids go out into the world. Sent him to school in clothes. I promise you, this kid was dressed and he looked good. Came home in his t-shirt. Child, wear your clothes. I can't tell you how often this happens, and I'm like, people can't think you don't have
Right,
like
right,
this is a thing. So keep your clothes on in school.
right. My son won't let me like moisturize or comb his hair. And I'm like, you gonna see some Black people and they gonna think your mother doesn't care about you because your hair is all like dry and wispy and you don't care because you're a
Don't
toddler. You don't give up. But I don't want other people to see that and be like, oh, his mama don't care about him. Or be like, oh, you must have a white mom. Oh, no offense to white moms of Black children, but
but
you know,
that is the first
yeah.
thought, really.
Yeah. And it's like he don't care. He doesn't care.
They
So,
really don't. But everything just is pure panic. And
mhm.
I wish more that is just like a whole other like
Yeah.
interview conversation.
No, and it is. And like, it's that thing of where we are, the understanding of child psychology is so different, and it's like grown by leaps and bounds now, so we have a better understanding of what it means like to have a healthy relationship between parent and child, and what tools you need to give your child so that they can navigate the world in a healthy way, or navigate a hostile world in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when you're like learning what these tools are, you're like, oh shit, I don't know how to do that. So it really is like it's always double parenting. You are reparenting yourself while you are simultaneously parenting another child. And also in a world that is constantly like changing and shifting and becoming easier in some ways and even more hostile in other ways. So it's just it's a wild time. And then you gotta go to work. And then you gotta go to work and earn money.
Yeah, like
And then I gotta sit down and write these books. So
uh, I
it's
truly
a
think
lot.
taking the time to write these books, like I know that there are just so many kids who are being introduced to Shakespeare through your books, or kids who, grew up only reading these white stories and these white
Hmm.
authors and getting this taste of like this introduction, using that to like foster a love for Black fiction.
Yeah. I'm very excited about that. And I'm excited to, give people another introduction to the Orisha.
Has has
So yeah. It's you there will never be enough Orisha books. Like put them in everything. You know? So yeah, it's a good I'm very excited by bringing this world to young readers and given folks a different version of Shakespeare. I've had, other Shakespearean scholars be like, man, I loved how you had Shakespeare not be a jerk and a cheater. I like that you had like a kind mentor Shakespeare. Like we don't know nothing about this man. We barely know anything about him. So yeah.
But I just thank you for this, because like I said, this is a book I would give younger me in a heartbeat. This is, yes, this book will always sit close
Oh,
for that.
thank you. Thank you for reading. It's like
Um,
you write. I wrote it for myself, and it's always really um wonderful and special to know that it is finding the other people who needed exactly that same thing I needed and couldn't find. So it's, yeah, I'm very happy about that. That's the best part. That is the absolute best part of being a writer.
yeah, I wish you the absolute best of luck. I like just all the success. Like,
Thank you.
I'm getting the rest of the series. Like, like getting the rest of the series.
Oh, great. Yes. And Patricia Allison is the narrator for all of them, and she's so talented. Her voice is just, it has the right like youthfulness and brightness, and her accent is incredible. She's just, yeah, she's great. She does all the voices. I was like, I'm sorry, girl. I'm sorry I gave you so many characters. But she gets it.
Yes, the audio was done really, really well. I will say that. But yeah, I just want to wish you like all the success in the world. You deserve all the flowers.
Oh, thank you.
I'm rooting for you. I know the Ignite Awards is coming up in November. Like, I truly hope you get it. I voted for you.
Oh, thank you. Listen, we all get medallions regardless. So,
Hey,
we all win. So, yes, you too. Yes.
but yeah. So can you just tell everybody where they can find you? I'm also gonna put all that information in the description.
Hmm.
But so yeah, just tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, on Threads, on TikTok, and Twitter at Brittany Acts, BrittanyAnyActs. You can find my website, BrittanyNWilliams.com, and you can sign up for my newsletter on Substack. That is Brittany Acts, BrittanyAnyActs.substack.com. So yeah, all of that is also on my website. It'll be in the notes too. I know there's a lot to try to like think of, but I am the same handle across basically all the things.
Nice. All right. Well, I this was wonderful. This like I had a crazy day earlier today, so this was like the perfect ending to it.
No, I had so much fun. I love I love nerding out about Shakespeare. I sent my cousin a long rant because he was like, "Did a black woman write Shakespeare?" And I was like, "Let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about this lie." So I sent him like a wall of text that was like this big. I was like, "I'm sorry. You triggered the nerd. Yeah."
No, they should know. All right, this is amazing, and hopefully, I get to talk to you for book 3. Like,
Yes.
yes. Okay, awesome.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right, so I guess I will see you next time.
Yeah.
Later. All right, so I'm gonna end the recording.